Hello, my fellow Bavarians. Wasn't announced, it was not planned. I just thought I'd share something with you. Seeing that, you know, this weekend is the weekend and they celebrate the Hebrew New Year, Rosh Hashanah, which means the head of the year, or Shanah Tov, which is how to say it in Hebrew. But it's the New Year, and it's the commemoration, as you may know, of the crowning of God, the coronation of God, and the birth of mankind, because that's when we celebrate when the creation started. Okay, now it's important that it's the head of the year, because we got the crown, we got to establish him as to be the head above all, because it's only when he is established as the head above all that it's worth it for mankind to exist, because otherwise, if he's not here to reflect his mindset and to portray and project it out of his soul, what's the use? He's just wasting his existence. That's why he was made, for the highest mindset, to be able to acquire it from your maker. All right, so I'm just going to read the thing that I shared this week from the Covid-19, one of the pearl of wisdom there. It says, bring joy to every moment if the everlasting gladness is in you. Otherwise, just enjoy the moment, because that is all you've got. And then I quote two verses, Psalm 100 verse 2. It says, serve the Lord with gladness, come before his presence with singing. On Psalm 51:8, make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. All right, so we're going to be looking a little bit into what it means by bones, okay? And you understand that the scriptures is all about a wordocracy, edabocracy, if you want to call it, for if you want to combine a word from Hebrew to English. But it's a wordocracy. It's all, through the word, for the word, and by the word, okay? And so everything is in reference to either the character of God or the word itself that he's utilizing to reveal himself. Now, the interesting thing, because in the Hebrew you have a way of, let me put myself here with the screen. All right, yeah. Let me put with the Hebrew chart, so I will explain to you about bones. All right. So now here we are. Now for the word dabar, because what's word in Hebrew is dabar, okay? We have the Daleth, which is the number 4, and we have the Beth, which is the number 2, okay? Daleth and Beth, 4 and 2 is 6, and then we have the Resh, which is number 200. So when the numerical value of these letters, 206, all right? So what is there in the world? You got to find something in the world that connects, because remember that the bar is like the administration of the schematics, okay? The administration of the floor plan or schematics or blueprints of the head, or the leader or the ruler. So the administration or management of the blueprint of the ruler is a person who is in charge. So that word, the bar, is translated as a business or as an economy, okay? So it's the entrance. The door is for a gate of administration. The beth is for the house or the floor plan. And the resh is for the head, the highest of the ruler. So what it means is you're running a structure, something that is a structure plan. A business is a structure that is set up. Okay, there's plans for it. There's all kinds of stuff ready for it. So that's the whole idea. So when you're running that, so you have a structure when you have the bar, because it's the skeleton. So what it comes down to, the structure of our body, is the skeleton, the one that the frame. And for bones, the skeleton, we have 206 bones as adults. That's how many bones we have, 206. So that's the picture, what is referring to in the physical. So the word, to find the equivalent of that, will be the skeleton in us. Okay, so we have an inner skeleton that's made out of 206 bones. So all the bones that thou hast broken. And so this serves as a structure to sustain a body of flesh with all the muscles, with all the sinews, the tissues, the skin and everything. Everything is there to sustain it, because it's the frame that holds everything in place, so it doesn't become just a wobbly mass of flesh. So this is that gives you structure and shape. And so what happens is when you have failed to use the structure that you can put together with the bar, the way that you keep the order of words inside of you, you are cast down to the ground, to this place with what I call it the dust in motion, all the things that can be made out of dust. And you live all the years of your life dedicated to all the dust in motion, all the things that are created from the earth. And when you're doing that, your bones have not been employed. Your structure is not holding the character of God. The structure of your soul is not holding the character. It's holding, how to make a car. It's holding the structure of TVs. It's holding the structure of everything that's been made in the man-made, and is run by manpower in the, in this garden of the retarded garden that I call it. And so that's when you have been cast out from the presence of God. That's all the words that are in you, the structure that you have is to sustain some product in the retarded garden. And so those bones have been, in a way, have been broken. I've been attached to something, I've been separated from God. Okay? But there comes a time when God begins to remove all the structures that you have been building with your dabar, with the word that gives structure to something in this economy of the retarded garden. And when that happens, and that is broken, the old hope is gone, like it is right now, with this pandemic and everything. People a lot of them don't know what to make of it, and so they're in this situation right now. But I explain some more of this right now. But remember, I said, "Thou will hear me," as it's in the portrait at the beginning. Let me say it one more time here. The portrait at the beginning here that we're watching. Remember those verses we're going to talk about is how to rejoice in the midst of this. And while we have the greatest reason to rejoice, and the joy is the purest of joy, if you learn how to rejoice in the midst of a pandemic or something that happened. And for that, we're going to read today the book of Habakkuk, okay? I'm just going to spend some time reading it to you. And the word Habakkuk, the prophet Habakkuk, that's where the famous verse, the just shall live by faith comes from. For the prophet Habakkuk, the name Habakkuk means embrace. So we're going to find out what you need to embrace. Okay, when everything seems to going away, everything seems to be being destroyed, everything that you hold dear, and all the things that you were hoping to get out of this world are just, vanishing and quickly not being solid and structured as before. You don't know what to make of it. So when all the things you have trusted have been taken away, that's when that had to happen. So I'm going to get to that in a minute, but let me just play a commercial for the Watch and Win. And then I'm going to take you to my studios, my new studios that I have set up. All right, just to show you how we're making improvement here right now. Our official studio today is being introduced. But let me play the commercial first. Here we go. Here we are, my fellow Devarians. Welcome to my new studio. That's secretly set up. All right. I found out all the necessary tools to even set up a studio. Imagine that, So you can say that I'm all, because everything is here that you can see. It looks like a huge studio. I have that's downtown Chicago in the back, in the background there. Okay, there's a screen in the back here. You can see my face. So everything's set it up, and this whole studio just cost me $17. 17 is the number of tub, is the number of good, of functional. So that's a good deal, right? It's a good deal, and it's something good and useful for this whole thing that I'm doing. So tub, so it cost me $17, So, and I got all kinds of music background that I can use. It's a whole deal that I got from the internet to buy these things to create a whole studio and everything. So I got it and I set it up. So here you have it, my whole brand new studio for the COVID-19 man. We're officially ready to, give news like everybody channel. I guess I'm prepared enough to go to CNN and do the fake news with all this fake, fake setup. But, I'm just joking with you, of course, so this is the scenario we have right now. So, we're going to be working with this. So like I was telling you, the nice thing about this scenario is that I can set up all kinds of background. I'll show you, for example, right now, I'll show you, like, for example, that's the buildings right there, but I also can make you believe that I'm using my office as a traveling ship, sailing over cities. I'll show you in a minute and give you that special effect kind of thing here. Let me see if I can find something to show you. All right, so here we are with the office, and here we capture. All right, there we see Hebrew chart. Here we go. Let me put the city here, bring it in. I'm gonna bring you into a city background. That's kind of fun and interesting right now, you'll see. All right, here we go. So you see now, special effects here. It shows like I'm traveling, with a city behind me, a bunch of buildings. So I managed to get this, this setup. By the way, anybody knows about Photoshop, this is what I'm using as my office. It's a Photoshop setup, that creates windows and all these things. My desk right now, like you see here in front of me, I got my coffee mug here, which is not coffee, by the way. I don't drink coffee. This is tea. I'll put it back down. So as you can see, things are getting pretty good. I'm learning how to make some little tricks. I had no idea that I was going to learn to be a producer or a director or anything in this. But, there you go. You love to do something, you get to learn all kinds of stuff. Because I have to learn. Every day I'm learning something new, by the way. That's my goal. I always try to learn something new I never knew before. That's why you can see that from the time I started, the COVID in March 24 up until now, you can see how we have improved, Now we have a studio officially. New year, right? New studio, new look. So that's what we're going to do now. Better look, better music, better transitions. We're going to be working in all of this. So that's what we have going right now. So, in the meantime, while that is playing, let me bring back, let me take that down and bring the building back. Let's see here. Yeah, so there goes the building. So, won't there be too much distraction. You can see the building behind. By the way, that's like, I believe that's downtown Chicago, according to the picture I downloaded from Google. I was just looking for some building background, but that's what it gave me. But in any case, what I want to do today with you, I want to share what the prophet Habakkuk was complaining. He was in a situation and he was complaining, to God because, he didn't like a scenario that he had been left to be in with. So, I'm going to, it's only 3 chapters, but it's worth reading because, it applies to our times because it's really in connection to our times. The book of Habakkuk is all about what we're going through right now. Because there we find the prophet is complaining to God about, how bad things are in his time. The wicked seems to be getting away with murder, doing what they want. And God practically begins approaching him and says, you think this is something? You're complaining about this? Let me tell you how bad things are going to get. And then he begins to explain all the stuff that the nations are going to be doing. You'll get to hear, but I'm just going to give you a little synopsis right now of what's going on in the chapter. You get an idea because it's all in all English. But I like to read the whole Elizabethan English. So it's in King James style, but it basically that's conveying. It's a story that Habakkuk the prophet is complaining because the wicked seems to get away with murder. Then God said, you think this is something? That's nothing yet. You see nothing yet. Let me tell you what's going to happen at the end. And then he explains all the things that all the nations are going to have to suffer in the hands of the wicked. Because, he was complaining at his time. He says, that's not compared to what's going to come. So he allowed, Habakkuk to get a glimpse of all that was going to happen to the whole world. And so this is an interesting book to read. I don't know if you ever read this book, but I'm going to read the whole book today. It was going to take me about 20-25 minutes, but it'll be worth the reading because it applies to our time. All right, let me put this thing here correctly, and now let me bring all right, let me bring the thing all the way to the front here. Let me see if you can understand. Here we go. Sword of the Bible. Okay. All right, here we go. I think I got it. All right. I'm going to bring this all to the forefront here so we can see it better. Let me see here. All right. It coming from the back. It's taking over. It's coming in front. And getting right here. Now right in front. Right. Yeah, here we go. So now we have it. Okay. Okay, let me read it to you. All right, let me see here. All right, it says, let me go to chapter 1. All right, chapter 1. All right. The burden which Habakkuk, and Habakkuk means embrace. Okay, that's the meaning of the word Habakkuk, to embrace, to hug something. Okay. And now in this moment, people are in desolation. They don't have anybody to hug, But if you have the right body to hug, you will hug the right body. There's a body of revelation. There's a body of flesh. The body of flesh is what we have, the hands, all these parts working together as one. And the body of confession, revelation, is all the ideas, concepts, and everything that you have learned put together to reveal, how you connect in this world, for the sake of your Maker. And then at the end, I'm going to ask you, which body are you embracing? Because you got to be embracing something. Otherwise, you're going to be very, very lonely during these days. And then you're embracing somebody, a body of something, and the right body. This one that gives you temporary comfort in this world, but this one that gives you eternal comfort at all times. So we'll read about this right now. So let me start reading for you. The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see. O Lord, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear? Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save. Why dost thou show me iniquity, and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are that raise up strife and contention. So he's complaining together about these things, right? And then it says, therefore the law is lacked, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. He was at a time similar to now, We hear that all these wicked people like the Obamas and the Clintons, all they're being in trial, they're soon going to be going to jail, and nothing happens. Everybody's suspecting something, and nothing happens. So it seems like the wicked are just walking all over the place, doing whatever they want, getting away with everything they want, setting laws that you cannot go out to the saloon, and then you go to the saloon to, you yourself don't obey your own laws. So we have all kinds of people that you seem to be getting away with murder. Okay, so that was pretty much, that what he was complaining for. Says, therefore the law is lacked, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceeded. Then he goes, verse 5. Behold ye the Lord. Now God is answering. Yehu-Bavi is answering here. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously. For I will work a word in your days which ye will not believe, although it be told you. Just let me tell you what's going to go on, as he begins to tell you, right? It says, for lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march throughout the breadth of the land, to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. People, sounds familiar? People that want to take land that is not theirs, they didn't build it, but they want it now. They want to run it their way. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. That's proud and boastful. And it says, their horses also are swifter than the leopards, and are more fierce than the evening wolves. And their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from far. They shall fly as the eagle that hasted to eat. They shall come all for violence. Their faces shall swoop up as the east wind, and they shall gather the captivity as the sand, and they shall scoff at the kings. Let me get it up here. And the princes shall be a scorn unto them. They shall deride every stronghold, for they shall heap dust and take it. You're going to be running the nation and scaring everybody left and right. Then shall his mind change, and he shall pass over and offend, imputing this his power unto his God. Not realizing that God is the one that powers every situation for every time and every purpose, He will forget that God wrote this here, and they will say, it is our planning and social engineering and structuring that we're creating the one world system, and now is the time it's going to make it happen, and all this stuff that the proud have to say. It says, art thou, Habakkuk's second complaint now. Habakkuk is responding here. Art thou not from everlasting, O Lord my God, mine Holy One? We shall not die. O Lord, thou hast ordained them for judgment. Almighty God, thou hast established them for correction. Thou art of purer eyes than to behold evil, and canst not look on iniquity. Wherefore lookest thou upon them that deal treacherously, and holdest thy tongue, when the wicked devour the man that is more righteous than he, and makest men as the fishes of the sea, as the creeping things that have no ruler over them. They take up all of them with the angle. They catch them in their net and gather them in their drag. Therefore they rejoice and are glad. Therefore they sacrifice unto their net and burn incense unto their drag, because by them their portion is fat and their meat is plenteous. You can compare this to what happened in our times. Their net is the things like the groups of the BLM. It's a network that they're using, and their drag. So I said drag. The drag to with the LGBT, ruling all kinds of things, making things. Because of them, their portion is fat and their meat is plenteous. So they use their agendas and the little things to get away with whatever they want to do, right? It says, shall they therefore empty their net and not spare continually to slay the nations? All right, so now let's go to chapter 2. Okay. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. Now this is the famous, even said this is the famous part where the righteous shall live by faith appears. He says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. But the just shall live by emunah, by faith. Emunah, faith. Okay. Emunah is Aleph, Mem, N, and He at the end. So it's the strong solutions that generate animation, or the strong solutions that generate quickness or activation. All right. So they bring birth to activation. All right. So it says, but the just shall live by emunah, by the strong solutions that generate activation. Activation of what? Well, I'll answer that in a minute. Yeah. Also, because he transgressed by wine, that means the indoctrination that he has received, the wine in the Bible always refers to one indoctrination that people drink. Yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Okay, we're living in the age of the spirit of wantonness that has increased whole world right now. And and it's using all the retarded leaders, that don't know better. This shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that laded himself with thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly, that shall bite thee, and awake, that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. The looting and rioting that's going on, right? Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. Behold, it is not of the Lord of hosts, that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity. For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, of the waters cover the sea. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, indoctrinates him also, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken, also that thou mayest look on their nakedness. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. He's rebuking the nation that is doing all this at the end, what's going to happen to them. Right? For the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, and the spoil of beasts which made them afraid because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of all that dwell therein. It says, what profiteth the graven image that the maker thereof had graven it? The molten image and a teacher of lies, that the maker of his work trusted therein, to make dumb idols. Woe unto him that saith to the wood, awake, and to the dumb stone, arise. It shall teach, behold, it is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it. But the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. And then we go to the last chapter. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. All right, it says, O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make known. In wrath remember mercy. God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covereth the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, the plague, right? And burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills bow. His ways are everlasting. Go back up here, 7. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Medium did tremble. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation? Thy bow was made quite naked according to the oaths of the tribes, even thy word, Selah. Thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. Okay, here. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice, and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. Let me go here. Thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, even for salvation which thine anointed. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked by discovering the foundation unto the neck. Selah. All right. Thou didst strike through with his staves the head of his villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly. Thou didst walk to the sea with thine horses, through the heap of great waters. When I heard, my belly tremble, my lips quiver at the voice. Rottenness enter into my bones, and I tremble. My bones, remember? All right, and I tremble in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. All right? So what he says here at the end, look at Habakkuk. Here we see Habakkuk rejoices in the Lord, like he says in Psalm that I read to the beginning, that will cause me to hear gladness and joy, And so here we go, Habakkuk, embrace, the word embrace. He says, then he says this, pay attention. He says, although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the field shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my completeness. Salvation is wholesomeness, completed perfection of health. I will joy in the God of my perfection, my completeness, my salvation, my health. All right? Yet I will rejoice. That means to rejoice. Serve the Lord in gladness and rejoice, with him. Because everything, after all, my fellow Devarians, is that we were made for the Dabar. We were made for the Word. And for that economy, specifically that economy that reveals him, that shows the splendor of his mindset, the way that he carries about in completeness, and that he rejoices in renewing, in refreshing, and sustaining. And since that character has not gone anywhere, then he understood, that what he had in him the strong animation of the continuity of his activation. That's what emunah is, the strong animation of the continuity of his activation. He was the vessel. You and I are the vessel to reveal the mindset of our Maker. And though the markets may fall, though everything that you have trusted on all your economies, everything is closed, everything that you enjoy is no longer there, that means your bones have been broken. The things that you have attached your structure to has been detached. And the whole idea is that if you were in the Torah, you will discover that you have wings to fly. That were just branches that you had landed for a while. But when the branches were cut off, the wings of the Torah kept you in the air. Because you know what you were made for. You were made to reveal him. And you are in that economy because you were made in his image. So his character has not changed. The way that he thinks has not changed. All nations are subject to do everything and to suffer everything that he says he's going to suffer. Because to walk away from the mindset of your maker is the worst thing that you can ever do to the dabar. Because that means you're going to drag the dabar through the mud. The dabar, the word that was made and given, not made, the word that was manifested out of the lips of the maker to give his character, which is the highest employment of the dabar, suffer the worst usefulness by being dragged through the mud, as we spoke of everything that we have created out of the dust of the earth. And we brag about it all the days of our lives, generation after generation. That the bar has been dragged through the mud. But guess that? The mud is being broken right now. Because it's time for the dabar to be called just to serve him. Okay? And therefore then we'll look up on the nations, but the nations, all the stuff of the nation will be only like Monopoly game. That's what their nations are to me. A Monopoly game. They're a circus. There's all kinds of stuff except reality. The reality is the bar, is the Torah, the teachings orderly rendering altruistic humanity. That is my reality, because that opens up to me the understanding of my maker. So I am desiring for you, let me take myself out of this thing here. Okay, let me see where I'm at. Okay, the sword. Okay, let me see it. Alright, here we go. Because I have the sword. Where they put it? Okay, the sword. Oh yeah, let me put the sword out. And let me take it out here so I can end it up. Alright, take myself out of here. Alright. So, we're going to end this way, therefore. I'm wishing you Shanah Tov, a Happy New Year, for you to remain in the head of the maker, in the mindset of the maker, because that's what we're going to do. Economies are faltering, economies are not sustainable because they're run by retarded leaders in this retarded garden, which is all the plan of God. Got to reach Deuteronomy chapter 28 to understand this retarded garden. He made it for it to happen. He had a purpose for it. But now it's bringing it to an end because he is employing the bar to reveal himself once again. He has started with me, and then he's going to, inundate the earth with this effect. It's no mistake that he has made me a person that loves words and can learn things so fast, so I can do all these things. There are people that I've noticed that they've done for years. They've been doing their YouTube channels, and they never change the background because they're just happy to know how to do one thing to express themselves, and that's it. But I've been just improving anytime I can, to the point that I can do all by myself, by just following, because I love the structure of words, that I can build up a studio like this, okay? And that's what I wish for you guys. I wish you to be in the love of words and in the order of words. So you may become an altruistic human being to your fellow man, making life easier. You may be able to communicate. So all of this to me, these are great teaching tools. That's what I'm finding. So that's why I'm using them, and I'm enjoying the use of them. All right, so I'm glad that I was able to share this with you. So take heart. And like the prophet Habakkuk, you need to embrace somebody in this desolate hour. Embrace the body of revelation of your maker. Embrace the Torah for your soul. And as you go out there, you will embrace everybody else as you give them this Torah for them to have the satisfaction and completeness that they need to have at this hour. So let's start the year, and there's we had in the eve of this beginning, we have this Supreme Court justice that passed away, Judge Ginsburg. She wasn't planning to go, but when God calls you and it's time to go, it's time to go. Okay? And that person, in the name of advocating for women's rights and all these rights, she allowed a lot of babies to be slaughtered because she worked for that purpose. Of course, they don't say, I'm going to do things so that babies are slaughtered. That's not what they say. We're going to give somebody the right to choose. But when you get the right to choose to kill somebody, it's the work and the fruit that what you work for, that's what you represent. The fruit says that you are a murderer. You work for the rights, to advocate the rights of somebody to use the choice so they can kill baby after baby. All right, so that was eliminated. So we're starting at a good year. One that advocated the death of mankind died on the eve. So we could celebrate the coronation of the head, the coronation of the Godhead, as we celebrate the birth of mankind, the generation of mankind, because that's what's about, and that's what we're going to prepare ourselves for. All right, so let me just go here too, and then we'll finish with a commercial here. Here we go.